Good day, hello and welcome. This is Jools and Jim's Joyride.
I'm delighted to welcome one of the great singers of Britain today, who has been on my show a number of times, even co-hosted my show.
Oh.
She also has an incredible podcast herself called Table Manners with her mother. This is a unique moment for us. It's Jessie Ware!
It's Jessie Ware!
God, you're good, aren't you?
Aren't we?
Jeez.
Yes,
Yeah? Are
complete-
you jealous?
I'm a bit jealous. I feel like I'm going to learn a bit from you.
Did you say G's or cheese?
I said cheese. Well, I said cheese, but I'd like a bit of cheese. But I have to say, you are always so generous to me, Jools, and I love you so much. And you always let me come back, and it's fantastic, especially when you get to get drunk on Hootenanny in November.
Could we just substitute the word "let me" to "insist"?
Okay. Oh yes, darling, of course. But yeah, I also have an excellent potty mouth, so that may come out today.
You're in the right place. So where should
Have we got a bleeper?
Oh, we should get a bleeper.
Yeah, a trumpet.
God.
We should have a live bleeper that we
Or,
use.
flag up the swear words with a trumpet after you've heard them.
Yes.
It would make people's ears bleed on this episode.
Anyway, how did you get here? Did you run?
I got the fanciest bloody car turned up, and I was like, I felt like a princess. I felt like Cinderella going to the ball.
How fancy was it?
It was well fancy. It had one of those like screens in front of you that
A
you never
windscreen?
would. You wouldn't. No.
Yeah. Oh, you did get we sent the
Flash.
posh car. Most guests get picked up in the cart.
So anyway, it was very nice. My lovely gentleman. It had water in the sides. Loved it. Felt
A
like
whole
an
lot. You got the whole thing.
absolute-
Radio. Transistor radio in the side
Yes,
pocket,
yeah.
so you can
Well,
listen
yeah.
to the horse racing.
All of the extras, champagne motoring for beer money.
So that's how I got here. I bet everyone's going to say this though.
No, where?
There's a service station before you get to Scotland. It is phenomenal. If I ever play in Scotland, which I love to play, you go and you make sure that you save your wheeze up and you save all your kind of meals up to go to this one particular service station. And
what's
it's
it
phenomenal.
called?
T-Bay, and
It
it's
is called-
and yeah, and it is a
Is
fast
it
shop.
is in Cumbria?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, T-Bay in Cumbria.
It's
isn't it?
bloody good.
But no, I know the one you're speaking of because it is actually a motorway services. But unlike motorway services, they have homemade pies.
Yeah.
And they have homemade delicious stuff. And it is actually, you're right, it is actually delicious food. I mean, I did make a study of an eateries along the Great North Road.
Yeah.
Many of which, of course, are now gone. There was the Quernho Caff, the Woodland Caff, the Woodview Caff, which was really super because on the side of it, it had chips, egg, and peas. Chips, egg, and peas painted like 10 feet high by I think the proprietor on the sort of brick wall on the side of it.
Frank's. We used to go to Frank's
Yes.
down here, which was, I think, the oldest. I mean, it was painted wooden planks that you sat on, and you'd get heart on a Wednesday.
Stuffed hearts on Wednesdays.
Stuffed hearts on
Steamed
Wednesday.
babies' heads on Thursdays. I remember being ejected with squeeze from a little chef once. For asking for a fish finger sandwich, and they said, but that's on the children's menu. I said, well, I'll give you a bit more money to like fish fingers. So they said, well, you can't have one. I said, well, look, come on, I'll give you an extra £5. They said, no. I said, are you telling me that you won't give, if I'm, they said, well, call the police. I said, what are you going to tell them? You've got somebody offering you a £5 for a fish finger sandwich. Anyway, we got chucked out.
Because you demanded a
Yeah,
children's...
exactly.
And then that was in a Little Chef.
Yes, that was
Well,
years
my
ago.
friend Dorian had a similar experience, and he's a vegetarian. He said, can I have the sausage, egg, beans and chips without the sausage? And said, no.
I hate it when they do that.
And he got ejected.
Get out.
He said, you can keep the sausages. I'll throw them away, do what you want with them. But
But why are they so pernickety about just like, if you're paying for it, then don't do the sausages. It's fine.
Exactly. What's your favourite roadside? What's your favourite journey? What journey do you like?
I do get car sickness, so I remember when we used to go, it wasn't my favourite journey, but when we got to the place, it was excellent. But we used to have this place, used to have a chalet. I don't know why it was called a chalet, because that makes me think of France and somewhere very kind of...
Swiss ski resort or
Yeah,
something.
it wasn't that. It was a
caravan?
plastic caravan
Yeah.
that didn't move.
Yeah.
So it was
Mobile
like
home, I know. Yeah,
it wasn't a mobile home.
I know
because
the
it
thing.
stayed...
a bunker, a shed.
It was just like a plastic
A
shed,
plastic
but
shed.
it was brilliant. And it was
Where was it?
It was in Abersoch in North Wales, so it was
nice.
an absolute schlep to get to. 6 hours from London. The journey up, we'd go after school on a Friday for Easter holidays, and we'd go and we'd listen to
From where?
From London, from South London.
Long way.
Yeah, real long way for my mum to do all on her own with fighting children in the background. But we'd stop at a service station, and I have a very huge appetite, so I'd go for the fish and chips, the beans, and then we'd always kind of stop at the wrong point, so then you get to the winding roads of Wales, and then I'd vomit it all up to the soundtrack of Take My Breath Away.
Nice.
And it was freaking, it was bloody awful. So I remember that being quite hellish.
You took my breakfast away.
Exactly. So we'd get there and it'd be wonderful, but I'd be so peely-wally by that point, and I'd kind of be this weird shade of green. And
did you announce that you were going to be sick, and did they stop the vehicle, or did you just suddenly sort of projectile vomit over the inside of the car?
I like to kind of, I like to make a whole, I would talk about it for a long time, and then it would be that thing of my mum shouting to my sister, Hannah, get the window down, swap seats, Jessica, look out the front. It would be this whole thing whilst my mum is trying to just navigate us in the pissing rain, in the dark, at about 10:30 at night. And and then, it's a horrible smell, isn't it, when you get a little bit
I used to get that as well, and we dished out handfuls of Kwells. They were called Kwells. I suppose the Kwell sickness.
Yeah.
But
The sickness queller, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't do anything.
I had a friend called Clive Head, and we'd been to the pub, and he had about 18 pints of beer, and we were about 16 or something. And when we went back to my house, my mother had a bean bag. I never really liked the bean, but he sat on this bean bag, and then he suddenly went, "Oh, excuse me." And he started being sick, but he lifted up his cardigan that he had on his jumper and was sick into the jumper.
That's very thoughtful.
Creating a huge bowl of sort of projectile vomit, which was not projectile, but and then he said, "Oh, excuse me, I've just got to go out." And my mum said, "Oh," and so he went out to the loo and then sort of got rid of it. My mum said, "What a nice boy he is. I mean, he's so thoughtful, isn't he?" And she always really liked him after that because he sort of had done it all in his jumper, rather than just all over the beanbag.
I mean, the thing is, it's one thing clearing up your own kid's sick, but another kid's sick.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sorry. I think that's very kind of him.
So you were saying another sort of journey you liked?
I love the train. I
yes.
can't do boats. I get very sick. I've got a funny tummy on the boats, and I can just about manage the Isle of Wight crossing. I can do that because it's about 40 minutes or something. But yeah, I once was in I was on my gap year, as every kind of middle class child does when they're out of school before they go to uni, and we were in Mexico. And I'd managed to get a dicky tummy throughout the journeys of whether it was doing coach journeys, whatever. Anyway, we got invited out by this ex-Club Med hostel worker called Mark, who was a bit of a lost boy. And he said, "Oh, do you want to go on a yacht? We're going to go tuna fishing." And we were like, well, I heard tuna and I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, yachting's great, yeah.
And it was with all these people from around the world that were all in this hostel, didn't really know why they were getting invited.
And a yacht.
And it was a yacht. Yeah. And we were like, God, this is quite an experience. We didn't have to pay either. So we were like, sure, get there. And Bob Marley gets turned up. Everyone's drinking a cerveza. We're having a lovely time. Yeah, having a lovely time. I get fucking seasick. Have to vomit over the thing. Have to go on the Diet Cokes. And we're waiting for the tuna fish we're waiting to go fishing. And what me and my two best friends, Alice and Clara, didn't realise was basically everyone had gone to have loads of drugs on board. They were doing ketamine and coke, and we were very innocent for 19-year-olds. We were kind of very naive. Anyway, the tuna, we don't go fishing for tuna. The guy says we're going to be on the boat for the whole night. And we were like, hold on a minute. No, this is all feeling really...
About this. I
want to get back. We kind of demand to get back. Turns out this bloody captain wasn't really supposed to have people on the boat at all. He didn't have a licence for having it, and he'd gone too close to the coral. And he was like, I'm gonna have to get us back because it's a very tight thing between the sandbank and the coral, and coral is very precious and you shouldn't be touching it. Anyway, we're like, please God, let us get back. I just want to get on land. And we hadn't eaten all day. Everyone's on drugs, and he's so drunk, the captain.
No,
and it's horrendous. I'm like, and then we're having to man the boat, and then we get stuck, and he crashes into the coral.
No,
the whole night. He won't answer the coast guards. Anyway, next morning, sunrise, fishermen boats are coming out, and we realised we literally could have walked home because the water is so shallow, and we thought we were going to die. And we hop on a fisherman's boat, and we're like, "Fuck you lot!" And then this massive police kind of it's a tank of a ship comes, and they're like, "The police are coming!" They're throwing all the drugs over, and we're like, "Adios, buckaroo! We're out of here." And we hop, and then we had a tuna fish sandwich after, and it was great. It was the best tuna fish sandwich I've ever had of my life. But that is my boat story.
That put you off boats.
Yeah, I can't compete with that. Not with my stories of drifting around the Norfolk Broads on a whole season.
It was a
rental boat.
It was very odd. I don't know. I used to like going mackerel fishing in Wales. That was really nice because you just an outboard and that's kind of doable. My mum always likes we do it in Greece. We go to a place in Greece every year. And we'll get one of they're like dinghy outboard things. And my mum likes to kind of heckle at the German nudists that are on the rocks. And she's like, put it away! And I'm like, you're obnoxious, Mum. You're obnoxious. And I know you're quite enjoying looking at that man's willy. It's just like the rocks. They're just keeping themselves to themselves.
Who was captaining this little dinghy that took it to the nudist beach?
Well, exactly.
I remember being on a helicopter once. I'd done the Radio 1 roadshow and I had to get a helicopter to take me to get a flight somewhere else. And so they sent a helicopter and this fella, and I was in a hurry to get to the other airport. And he said, just a minute. He says, I just want to make a little detour because there's a nudist beach around here and I want to show you it. So, and he hovered above the nudist beach with blowing sand everywhere all over the nudists. And I was going, I'm really not interested. I want to go and catch this plane. But he wanted to do it. He wanted to show me it. So maybe it's a thing.
There's a bass player I know who was on a boat on somebody's yacht having a nice holiday, and they went past a nudist beach in the south of France, and they stopped and they were having lunch. They said, "There's a nudist beach over there." He said, "Is it?" Well, I had a glass of wine with lunch. So he thinks I'll just dive in and swim up to the nudist beach and hang out, So he dives in the water, starts swimming. And then after about half an hour realises the tide's against him and it's a bit further than he thought. And then after about 45 minutes, he still hasn't got there and the beach is still way off and he's starting to panic and he's really getting out of breath and the boat's like a long way back behind him and the beach still seems like miles away. Then after like sort of 50 minutes, he really is panicking and sort of waves, and then he manages to just get as far as the beach where he's by which point completely exhausted and panicking, and the nudists come and carry him out and he has to lie there and be given resuscitation.
Rescued by nudists.
Exactly.
I used to live in a house on a nudist beach in Sandgate in Kent, and
I didn't realise there was one in Kent.
Yeah, it's right. It was right outside my house, and I used to say to people, "There's a nudist beach outside," and people would want them to come and visit me. I had so many friends.
Well, before then, nobody would want to come and say hello.
But the truth of it wasn't a glamorous or in any way erotic or exciting nudist beach. It would be 3 old 8-year-old blokes washing the bollocks in the surf.
So you just find yourself in these reluctant situations, being surrounded by willies, and yeah, right.
Yeah,
there you are. But trains, you talked about a train journey. Enjoying that. What do you enjoy about a train journey?
I think even though it never used to run very well, going to see my grandma, getting that train from Euston, going and getting your upper crust baguette, tuna mayo upper crust baguette, and eating it before you got to Milton Keynes.
Where did your grandmother live?
Oh, Manchester. Oh, right. Sorry. So you go to Manchester Piccadilly, but it would take forever. Anyway, I just remembered it kind of, and maybe it was more I enjoyed it because I love UHT milk.
And the little, yeah, very nice.
You're the first person I've ever heard say that.
Love it.
Yeah.
I used to love it.
They don't sponsor you, do they?
No, not yet. But I used to love it because I guess you had to get your thrills from somewhere. So when the trolley would come, I'd fill up my pockets with UHT milk and I'd just back them like that, the little things. I don't know why I loved it so much.
No, I can see where
sweet.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, because I do that in hotels. I'll get the UHT milk and a coffee, and then pour the whole coffee into the UHT milk, and then imagine I've got some kind of very strong espresso type, and then throw it back.
I love that.
Interesting.
And now a message from our sponsors. What's that sticking out of your pocket?
It's my Curly Whirly, the most elaborate of all chocolate snack bars. Do you like a romantic trip?
I do. I love a romantic trip. I'm a bit of a kind of sergeant major on a romantic trip. I remember when Sam, my husband, and I went on our trip to Japan for our honeymoon. I'd kind of planned everything. Well, mine was planned through where we were going to eat. So we were having to have like 3 different lunches so that we could hit these different places, whether it was the hot soba place or the best place for ramen or the best gyoza place. So he just found it quite stressful, and trying to navigate the underground in Japan was quite an ordeal, but the bullet train is amazing there. And going to Hakone. But yes, I do. A romantic trip's perfect. And actually my favourite thing is when Sam and I will go away maybe just for a night. We love our children very much. Just like 24 hours just makes you just appreciate them that much more. We're just away from them. So we went away and Sam will drive. He's the best driver. And so we'll drive, we'll get the playlist ready.
What have you got on there?
It depends on the time of day.
I mean, does it relate to where you're going to?
We did when we were in Los Angeles. We had like a kind of road trip, California. We were going to Palm Springs. We went fully Neil Young. We kind of went that way, and that was really fun. Bruce Springsteen was on there. It was kind of very. It was a soundtrack for that. But at the moment, our playlists are dictated by our bloody children. So it's my algorithms on my Spotter are fire fucked. It's Moana, You're Welcome, again and again and again, or it's something about if all of the raindrops were lemon drops and gum. I mean, it's just children. Frozen.
How old
2.
are they?
They're 4 and 20 months.
Oh, good! Thank goodness they're not in their 20s.
No, yeah. But Sam's really like, we should be educating them on brilliant music, and it's that thing.
So Beethoven on here.
So yeah, exactly. Well, yes. And we were kind of thinking more hip hop. We wanted to educate them on hip hop, and it's now my daughter just knows. She goes tune for tune. So we go back to back in the car, and she gets a Moana song or a Frozen song, and then we get a Jay-Z song. But no, and so Sam is a great driver. I'm a terrible driver. I'm like a kind of boy racer. My mum once got out of the car in the Vauxhall roundabout. She just said, I've got to get out because you are horrendous. She just got out in the moving traffic.
If you're driving, that's pretty bad. What car was it you were driving?
Oh, my first car was a Spearmint Cinquecento.
Oh, lovely.
Little Fiat.
Spearmint?
Yeah, Spearmint colour. It
Nice.
was, you couldn't miss me. It was real.
Did you choose the colour?
Well, look, I'd saved up my money from working at, where was I working? I was working at Peter Jones on the perfumery counter. And I'd saved up my money, and I think it was maybe 850 quid. I got it from down on like Acre Lane, and I was so proud of myself. And I used to zip to school, and my friends would fear for their life.
To school.
Yeah, I felt so independent. I felt like Cher from Clueless.
Have you still got that car?
I haven't. I then went, what did I go for? I went for a Seicento after that. So I stayed Italian. I'm not that, this is the thing, my husband and I are very different in, I mean, I think boys also, this is a huge generalisation and please forgive me, but like he is completely obsessed by what model car we're getting, and I just care that it's got a good sound system and that's it.
And a windscreen.
And a windscreen, obviously. Yes. And that I can drive it quite easily. But I kind of, it's never been, my best car memory is that Cinquecento, which was the ugliest little thing ever. I mean, but it was metallic spearmint. So
I remember seeing
like extra Wrigley's extra.
A spearmint coloured E-Type from Eagle E-Types in Sussex. Because I was buying an E-Type, and he said, "Have a look at this one."
What's an E-Type?
An E-Type Jaguar.
Oh, okay.
One of the most beautiful cars ever made.
Okay.
Would you think?
Yes, I quite like the D-Type actually. Oh, that was handsome.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway,
I was buying this E-Type, and he said, "Oh, this is what you might want to be interested in. This is just come in from someone's garage, and it used to belong to George Best, and I've not looked in it yet." So we had to look in it.
What was in the glove compartment?
Behind the seat, a pair of knickers.
Oh, yes.
Just what you'd expect.
Were they his?
Well, they were very definitely a lady's, but that's what you'd expect to find, isn't it? And it was more pea green, I think.
It's quite a skill painting cars. I did study painting cars actually, but not like when I was sort of 16. I thought that would be a really useful thing to do, to be able to paint cars.
What, with a spray gun and all that?
All that, yeah.
And did you ever get?
No, the fellow that I sort of worked for. The trouble was he was a bit of a scammer. He wasn't all that good at it. I would have liked to have worked for somebody better. He did things like somebody would come in and he'd sort of respray their car, and they'd come back and he'd say, "Well, thanks very much, but the door is a completely different colour to the body now," and he'd say, "No, that'll darken down. Don't worry about it. It's lovely. It'll darken down." Of course, it wasn't going to darken down. It was just a different colour, and he was endlessly doing that sort of thing, So he was a bit incompetent, but I learned a little bit. So
I like those. When you see something like you see a Nissan Sunny or something like that,
yes.
and it'll have a brown door. The rest of it's a kind of faded blue, but it'll have a brown door on it and maybe a bonnet of a different colour.
Yes,
I actually like that look. I think there's something to it.
You love cars, don't you, both of you?
Yes.
Yes, this is yes.
But we don't. But
I just don't care. I feel like if I had a nice car, then somebody would key it on the road or something, and then it'd be like, I don't know, I'd be too worried about it.
Well, it's not, yeah.
And I do a lot of bumps on mine, so I kind of just need something that's going to...
Do you bang into people?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very good at scraping the sides in in places where, I completely cocked my husband, who was then my boyfriend's car, in a multi-storey car park in Brighton. We were both at uni. Just from I went into like a concrete pillar, but I didn't just go into it. I kind of went back and forth. So like it was shocking. He was very forgiving about that.
That's very nice.
So you could actually change. So maybe you did your door in. You could change that for another door, which was a completely different colour.
I could have done that.
Yeah.
I think
I'll do it next time. There will be a next time.
Yes, I think that's yeah. And do you like flying? Because we don't like boats. Quite like trains.
Love it. I love the whole thing. I mean, I feel like it's been ruined through kind of when they had started doing the 100 milliliter thing. I mean, that was when it got really boring to fly.
What's that?
Well, when you have to do all your liquids.
Oh,
and it can't
the liquid. Yeah.
I mean, it drives me crazy, and but I love it, and I think that there is something incredibly pleasurable about flying on your own and being able to I mean, my daughter loves flying. She flew with me quite a lot when I was promoting my third record and working. So she's really good at flying. My son hasn't really had a chance to kind of fly that much because of, just he's quite young anyway. So she's a really good flyer, but there's something about being on your own and being able to like back that red wine that just hits you even high when you're higher in the sky. You watch a really sad film that may have not even been that sad, and you sob like ugly crying.
Yes.
And you drink I love the food. I love everything about it. I absolutely love the experience.
I agree, but if for some reason you are, and there's a different. When you watch I can't watch I like a long haul flight because you get a few minutes peace and quiet, and I like that. Party or long haul flight any day of the week. I like that. Mm-hmm. But I think there's something must happen to your metabolism at that height where I can't watch a film anymore, because either like you, I'm just blubbing over a film I wouldn't have even watched before, or I get furious about a film that's perfectly reasonable. I was watching Gorillas in the Mist, and by the end of it, I was cheering the people that were killing the gorillas. That's how bad it was. So
you have some sort of mental aberration when you're above
so don't watch
30 feet.
Yeah, above 30, 35 feet.
I won't watch a film on a plane if it's any good, because I think I'd rather see it on a TV or a bigger screen. But I don't want to see it on one of those crappy little screens, and it's going to stop halfway through when they tell you something. So I watch terrible films. So I look for the worst film I can find, and I don't drink on planes because I think that's a waste of time as well.
Yeah, no, I can't drink.
Oh no, I'm fully like, I'll watch the newest releases because I never get to go to the cinema anymore. So that's like, it's brilliant because they always have the kind of Oscar, they always have the new ones. So I absolutely love it. My dad was really into flying. He used to fly. So and it's not that I mean,
He used to fly?
He used to fly.
Fly what?
Is it called a chipping something?
A chipmunk?
Chipmunk?
Yeah.
Is that one?
Yes, it's a little, monoplane.
Yeah, so he was mad about it.
It was kind of like there was the tiger moth, then it took the top wing off and you got left with a chipmunk, kind of.
He did this stupid thing, the day before he married my mother. Maybe this was that she should have fucking read the signs. But he crashed his chipmunk into a golf course. He was absolutely fine, but he feels the need for speed, loves it, loves all of it, all the kind of drama, but managed to absolutely do one of those
things.
Word.
Yeah, it's amazing you're here then.
I know.
You might never have been here.
Their marriage didn't last, but he did, and I was he survived it, but it was all very dramatic, and he's still he's obsessed with flying, but
he still does it now.
Yes, whenever he can. But he's colourblind.
Disaster didn't put him off then.
No, but he's colourblind. He says he's not, but he absolutely is, and so he could never have been a pilot. That's that whole thing, isn't it? If you're colourblind, you can't be a pilot.
Because you don't know which is up and which is down.
I'm not. I can't
get my head. I can't understand colourblindness. I think it's impossible for people to understand if you haven't got it.
Right. I do know why you can't be a pilot if you're colourblind. Because one thing is, I've sometimes go on small aeroplanes, and I like sitting next to the pilot if he'll let me, and then ask him what's going on. So, really, just so as if as an example, we were on a small aircraft together, and the pilot sort of passes out, I'll be able to grapple the controls and land us safely at a nearby airfield. So I'd like to know what's going on, how it all operates. But one of the things is the way you really can't be colourblind. So if he's been lying about that, he's putting himself at great risk. Is when the aeroplane is landing, if you're landing a plane, you have lights on the runway which tell you what your height is. And if you're and they go from red to, I think, red to white and maybe green as well.
Green,
but you need to read whatever the right colours are, tells you that you're at the right height. And if you're at the wrong height, they flash up another colour, so you know you're coming too fast or too low or whatever. So I should think that might be something to do with his chipmunk experience on the eve of his wedding.
Perhaps.
So he thought it was a golf course, whereas he thought he couldn't tell it's green. He thought that's a grey landing strip.
I'll never know. I think there was a malfunction with the actual engine. So I don't think he was even near landing, kind of near the air place, whatever you call them.
And of course, being colourblind, if it came out as red or orange sort of warning, I can't even. Just something else, another thing flashing. Who cares?
It's incredibly dangerous.
I used to like it when the pilot used to say, "Would you like to come in?" They used to say, "Would you like to come in here and try one of my cigars?" I seem to remember that was
the good old days.
That sounds kind of.
What it was like.
Euphemism.
I remember pilots.
Yes, it does.
The cockpit of a airliner was very much like the staff room at school, and you opened the door and billows of smoke came out of it. It was because they just spent all day long, all flights smoking.
Yeah, all day smoking. It's in the beginning of a great James Bond book. Which one is it? And it starts. He's in the casino in London playing a rubber of bridge with M, and he notices the villain for the first time, who I think it's called Drax, and he says the smoke from his Sobrano black Russian cigarette was sucked up through the Ventaxia fan in the ceiling of the casino. I thought, blimey, product place, a lot of product placement going on there.
Yeah.
Well, we've done a lot of product. Hey, what about Blakey's segs? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a transport thing. It's little pieces of metal that you nail into the bottom of your shoe, so you can clip clop around the.
Like tap dance.
Yes, you fall over in the street, and they last longer if you're working in industrial situation.
Longer, yeah.
But you like a tap dancing through.
Well, it's not really for tap dancing. It's more sort of keep your soles from wearing out, but you make a good sound as you're strolling along.
But I always think this is probably the sort of thing that's more based in industrial towns. You'd see more of a Blakey there. They used to put them in the end of the back of your shoe.
It's a homemade hobnailed boot.
Yes.
Really, yeah.
Steel toe cap boots. That's quite good. Yeah. What's your favourite type of shoe for walking?
Oh God. I don't. I have a. My husband's parents are very into walking, so they got me those walking boots. They're very comfortable.
They are, aren't they?
Have you got on now? Look horrendous. I've just got Converse on today.
Yeah.
But you look horrendous, but they are very
Bounce
comfortable.
along.
Italian leather, whatever. You can get them in Lime Regis. And they were fantastic.
Do you know, I've always worn Converse.
Have you?
Like my whole life. I've never had a training shoe.
So you work out in Converse?
What's working out?
I think it was a bass player in Squeeze one called Harry Kukuli, and he had pink platform sandals with a white sole. And for some reason, I thought that's quite smart. Can I borrow those from you, Harry? You know, maybe I'll sort of just be a bit smarter for the evening. So I had these pink platform sandals, and of course with the Veloset, you had to kickstart it, and it was quite a sort of thing. It was quite a feat to get the thing going. But so I sort of tried to kickstart it, but my ankle buckled with the sort of kickback of the motorbike, and because of the sort of stupid sole on my shoe, I ended up having to go to Greenwich Hospital.
Oh, so you was even attempting to ride a Veloset with
pink,
platforms.
Pink platform sandals.
I've actually driven in wedged sandals. I mean, I'm not saying it was great driving, but it's manageable.
People used to have driving coats as well, which was a kind of like a sheepskin.
A car coat, yeah.
A car coat, which would be maybe a thick wool, I suppose, because the heaters weren't very good.
Yeah, exactly.
In winter.
But I think it's important to be comfortable when you're in your vehicle, have good visibility, and be fully greased up. In case you need to get out of the car quickly.
I'm more worried about the snacks.
Sid James always used to look like he was wearing, he had a trilby on and a car coat. That was a look that I used to very much like in the 70s. In fact, I went to see the Ramones when they'd just come over to, so it'd be 1966, 76 or 7, and I went to the concert in a trilby and a very thick car coat, and sat there and sweated so much that I passed out.
you do one of the most successful podcasts that there are. And so, what would you, which is called Table Manners, where you have people talking about food. But what would you have any tips for myself and Jim? What we should do?
What about our table manners?
What you want to table manners to start?
I can't give you tips there. This is ridiculous. You're both esteemed entertainers and seasoned pros
and diners,
and you are absolutely. This has been such fun. It's like, I mean, you're absolutely fine. Don't swear as much as me, otherwise people will write in about how much you swear. And you haven't sworn once, I don't think, actually.
Yeah, we'll tell you a bit about Trevor Howard.
Yeah, and that's it. We have to put explicit content or whatever.
You have to have a little E next to it.
Yeah.
PG or E?
It's an E, I think. And people writing in saying Jessie swears too much or Lennie butts in too much.
Rather, a bit too explicit for me. Don't listen to that. So, yeah.
Don't listen. Fuck off and don't. No, I'm joking. But no, it's don't swear as much as me and you'll be fine. That's all I can say.
Well, what an absolute pleasure it's been. Thank you for joining us, the wonderful Jessie Ware.
Thank you, Jessie.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Here's your bus fare. Goodbye, Jessie Ware. There she goes. I do like a story that takes me on a journey and then has a dramatic twist, which is almost like a Hollywood movie.
Yes, and there was a strange twist in the case.
A very strange twist.